What are minerals?
Things you can like find underground or above ground, like resources. Stuff.
Okay. What do you think, Anna?
What makes it rock?
What makes up what?
Rocks.
Yes. So, minerals are naturally occurring elements and compounds. Everything is made of minerals. I don't care what it is, it's made of some metal. So, why do we need minerals? Why? You're getting close. They already make up everything, right? Why?
To make like gravel and stuff.
Make gravel, sure. In fact, minerals are used to make everything in the world around us. They're in the homes we live in, the cars we drive, the things we buy. Minerals are the fundamental blocks in which we build our world out of. There's nothing you can name that does not contain a mineral or something that was grown on a farm. It either came out of a hole in the ground or it grew on the earth. Everything except you. And animals, of course, because they grew inside their mamas. Whatever. The fact of the matter is, everything contains minerals. Therefore, to make anything and everything, you have to have minerals. We have a phone. Right? Your phone has 75 different minerals in it. Every one of those came out of a mine somewhere. 62 of them in your phone are metals. Here's just some of the easy ones. The glass on the front is made out of silica, sand, quartz sand. Who played Minecraft? Or has played Minecraft? How do you make glass panes in Minecraft? How?
You put sand in the furnace.
You melt the sand. It's the same way in real life. You melt the sand, you make glass. It's where all the glass in the world comes from. Sand mine somewhere. So, others aren't quite that easy. There's tin, indium, are all used in the LEDs, comes from cassiterite. Bauxite, or aluminum ore, also provides gallium for LEDs. Sphalerite is used for indium in the protective coating. Germanium is used in the LEDs. Chalcopyrite. What comes out of chalcopyrite? It's one of the heaviest mined minerals in the world. It says on the board.
Copper.
Copper. Copper's a big time element. In fact, the global demand for copper right now is about 20 times what the amount being mined is. In other words, if we don't get mining more copper, society is going to slow down because we cannot produce the rate we're producing with the amount of copper we're mining. We have to mine more copper. Tetrahedrite for silver, silicon for silicon chips, arsenopyrite for arsenic. Arsenic, poison, right? It's also used in radio amplifiers. It's used in GPS. It's used in Wi-Fi. It's used in all kinds of crystals. You have to have arsenic or you don't communicate wirelessly. Cadmium for tallite, which is used for voltage regulation. Wolframite for tungsten. Tungsten. That sounds fun. What do we use tungsten for? Anybody know what tungsten's used for? It's used in shotgun shells because it's less toxic than lead. What else is it used for? You don't make steel without tungsten. You mine iron all day long, and you melt iron and you have molten iron. You add tungsten and magnesium to it and you get steel. You don't have steel without tungsten. Wolframite, used as a heat sink. You don't want your phone getting hot in your pocket and catch on fire, do you? Nope, because you need the tungsten from the wolframite. Spodumene, it's used for lithium. Graphite, just like the graphite in your pencils. It's used for the lithium-ion batteries. Bastanite, it's a rare earth. It's used to make magnets and speakers. You don't have a speaker if you don't have a magnet. You have to make magnets, you have to have bastanite. So, like I said, everything comes out of a farm, which we're not going to talk about, or it comes out of a hole in the ground. So it can be divided into three families. Mining metals, coal should be over here, petroleum. Mining aggregate, petroleum. She said gravel. That's an aggregate. Sand, gravel, lime, all the stuff used to make things we build with, it's mined in an aggregate mine somewhere. There's aggregate mines everywhere. You guys see them all the time. Gravel mines, sand mines, they're all over the place. Metal mines, not quite as common, but they're also all over the place. All those metals, the 62 from your phone, came from 62 different mines in the world somewhere. And then, of course, petroleum. What's petroleum?
Oil.
Oil. Black gold. Every car on earth needs it. You don't move without oil. Oil has to be pumped. Oil has to be drilled. Coal falls in that same category. What's coal used for?
For grill.
For a grill? You can.
Fire.
Fire. What makes coal unique compared to wood?
Which one?
Either one.
You can go. It lasts longer
And
and it's harder, which makes it the fire hotter.
you don't make steel without coal. Because you can't get a fire hot enough with wood. That's why steel wasn't made up until the 1800s. Because people didn't realize you can't build a furnace that'll make enough heat to melt iron to make steel to turn into, or to make it turn into steel without coal heat. Coal burns hot. Coal drives the world. Just like petroleum drives the world, literally. They have to happen. We're not going to talk about the petroleum side much. We're going to focus more on the metals and non-metals side of mining. So, where are they extracted? The answer is everywhere. Every place on earth mines. So, particularly, gold. Gold's primary sourcing, according to this fine map, is Australia these days. A lot of gold in Africa, a lot of gold in the US. How about something a little more common? Quartz, silicon, sand. You mine sand everywhere. That's why sand costs 10 cents for a handful, whereas gold's $55,000 for a handful. You mine sand anywhere, it's common, it's all over. It's a non-economic mineral, really. Economic minerals are minerals you can make money off of. So, lithium. What's lithium for? I just mentioned it a moment ago. Gotta have it for one of these. Batteries. Lithium batteries. Lithium is almost as valuable as gold these days. Because the demand for cell phones, the demand for wireless communication is so high, lithium is incredibly valuable. Fun part about lithium, it's only mined in a few places. In this case, Australia, China's got some lithium mines. The US doesn't have any lithium mines. There's no lithium occurrences of economic value in the United States. Guess what? You don't talk on your phone unless we buy lithium from the Aussies or the Chinese. The Aussies are our primary market, as you might guess. So the fact of the matter is, minerals are mined all over the world in different variances that run their price. So, did you know there's 120 different careers in mining? You guys think of mining, you think of a guy with a pickaxe and a donkey going underground digging rock out. Yeah, it's not 1888 anymore, unfortunately. So, right out of school, labor and operations, heavy equipment operators, hoist operators, blasters, drillers, assayers, mineral processing, crane operators. You can graduate high school, walk into one of those, and they'll teach you to do that job. Science and engineering. These are your jobs, your engineers, your geologists, your biologists, mineral processing engineers, mining engineers. These are degree jobs. Lawyers, down here in support. Trade, skilled trade. These are your construction workers, your safety people, your electricians, your mechanics, millwrights, instrument tech, dispatcher. Those are trade schools. RTI and all is a great example. Go there for 18 months, get a job, or get a degree as a certified electrician, go to work throwing electric anywhere. Put it in houses, you work in a mine. You can work at a processing facility that takes the stuff from the mine and turns it into something useful. All kinds of career pathways in mining, in mineral processing. So, the statistics. I don't want to work in a mine. People in mines die. You are right. In fact, in 2012, out of every 100 miners, 2.8 of them died. 2.8. Look at hospitals. of 100 workers, 6.6 died. Hospitals are 3 times as dangerous to work in as a mine. How about them apples? Financial activities, however, only 1.3, so stockbroker is safer than miner. However, retail, construction, manufacturing, transportation, air transportation, oh, I killed it.
Oh,
Air transportation, 7.4 out of 100. It is almost 3 times more dangerous, or more than 3 times more dangerous to fly an airplane than it is to work in the mining industry. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So, here's those jobs again. Blaster, use explosives to break rock. High school diploma, explosive certification. You graduate high school, you can walk to Doe Run, I drive, but you can walk to Doe Run right now, walk in the door and apply for a blaster's job. And they'll say, do you have a certification? You say, no, I got a certification. We'll train you. And they'll put you to work blowing stuff up. Drilling, drillers. Your grandpa runs drill. Did he go to college? Did your grandpa go to college? He did go to college for a little bit.
Is it? Did
But
they find
you don't
out
have to.
his drill?
Hmm?
Did they fix his
I don't
drill?
know. But you can go right now after high school and go get a job drilling. You can go get a job running a truck. Now, tech school degrees. I don't have any listed up here. Electricians, mechanics. You go to school for 18 months, they let you loose in the world to be an electrician. You can go to work in a mine. Now, the thing is, you're going to be an electrician, so you're going to do electrician work. You're not going to drive a truck. You're not going to do any of the other stuff. You're going to be an electrician. But you can go be an electrician anywhere. You don't have to work in the mining industry. You can go anywhere you want. Diesel mechanics. My little brother's a professional wrench turner. Diesel mechanic. Went to, what did you say it was, Missouri Tech or
State Tech.
State Tech? It was Lynn Tech back in the day. He got a degree turning wrenches on cars. He still does it today. Turns wrenches on cars for Warner Ford. Does all right. And he's gonna turn wrenches on cars the rest of his life, because that's what his degree's in. 4-year education. These are your university jobs. Hydrologist, metallurgist, mining engineer. Now, a lot more specialty goes into those jobs, a lot more education, and as an end result, you have a lot more avenues and ways to go in life. For instance, I have a degree in economic geology, but I have a minor in el español. Mi español no es bien, pero es bueno porque comunicado. In other words, I could go chase something that required more Spanish in my life. I could go chase something that needs more computer programming. Then maybe I get tired of being a geologist. A lot more avenues open up in 4-year jobs. Something to consider. Oh yeah, here's the industry average wages. Mining average wages, $1,320 a week, which is more than just about everything on the list except for information technology. Oh, and lawyers and doctors don't get that because that makes ridiculous. But financial activities, that's more. That's your Wall Street folks. Manufacturing, wholesale trade. Let's find one we know something about. Education. Make more than being a teacher. I bet I can get a kick you up right there. Leisure and hospitality. You make more than working at a residence home. You make more than working at Walmart. You make more than a lot of places. Mining pays pretty well. How do I get prepared for a career? You guys have some of this back there on your board. Things you have to consider. This breaks it down. There's 3 circles you have to consider. What do you love? What pays well? What are you good at? You want to do all 3. If you don't do all 3, you're either going to have an unlikely job, you're going to be poor, or you're going to have a job that you hate. You don't want a job that you hate. You want the dream job, so you want all 3. I mean, maybe you love poetry and you're really good at it. Awesome. Nobody pays poets anything, so you're going to be pretty good. So, those are all things that you have to consider. Your pathways, like I said, labor operations, right out of school. Trade school, you're gonna go to school for 18 months, 2 years, and get a job. Maybe you're gonna be the safety guy, go around and make sure everybody's being safe and not hurting themselves. Maybe you're gonna enforce the federal law in the mines and make sure the safety's followed. University degrees, lots of stuff on here. Biologist. Why does mining need a biologist? Any thoughts?
that you can like maybe look at the ores or
Nope, that's geologists.
check them with ores or anything?
So when we mine, we tear things up. If it's on surface, we make a big hole in the ground. If we go underground, we make a big void space underground. We pump water out of that void space. All that's gonna go back into the environment. The goal is to make the environment nicer than what we found it. When mining is done, they clean it up and they rehab it. They plant forests back. They pump the water out of the mines every day at Doe Run. One of our mines makes about 5,000 gallons a minute. Makes a little bit of water. All that water is going into our river systems. Do you want to be swimming in nasty water when you go to the river? You do. So we're going to clean it. Biologists are on the scene to make sure everything is done so that nature can accept what we're putting back into it, making sure the laws are followed, and making sure the mining is clean. Mining of the future, we can't mine like it's 1888 anymore. We just can't go dump our garbage in the river and call it good. We've got to clean as we go, and we got to make it better than the way we found it. That's why biologists are on the job. Legal. Why would mining need a lawyer? Any ideas? Why?
To get hurt.
People get hurt.
If something breaks.
The lawyer?
What?
The lawyer's gonna say, I got it broke, somebody needs to call somebody, I don't know what to do. Now, lawyers, people get hurt. Other companies. We have 6 lawyers who work for Doe Run. They're busy all the time. They fight companies, they work with governments, they fight with people, they work with people. They're constantly busy. Our lawyers don't go underground. They work in a legal office in St. Louis. So, lots of different avenues of marketing. We have people in St. Louis that work at the desk every day and they focus on selling lead. Lead concentrates all over the world. We move 20,000 pounds of concentrated lead material a year up the Mississippi River, or down the Mississippi River, I should say, to go out into the world. Those marketing people are selling it, making those contracts to make that happen. So labor and operations. Most of the jobs in mining and mineral processing are right out of high school folks that are working. These are the folks that are running the trucks, running the drills, filling the holes with explosives, and doing the physical work. Now, it's good. Right out of school, you go to work, get on the job training. But it's not quite the highest pay tiers either. Trade schools, make better money. Come out being a diesel mechanic. We hire diesel mechanics every day from State Tech. We hire diesel mechanics, we hire welders, we hire electricians, we hire people all the time to come in and work for us. Doesn't require a lot of schooling. They can go work lots of other places, but they're always going to be doing that job. There's no other job that they're trained to do unless they go to school, of course. And then lastly, 4-year degrees. So, geologists like pretty colors. We like pretty maps and 3-dimensional models and all kinds of neat computer stuff. Geologists mapping the pit concentrations there. You see a 3D model on the far end. Drone operators. Why do we need a drone operator? Why do we need a drone operator?
To scope out the area.
Yes.
See like what might be in the way or what you have to avoid.
Yes. We got this.
Like in mines to go around places humans can't always get.
That's a great example. Our mines, we've used drones to go to places that aren't safe for man or beast. Fly the drone in there. It's only a couple $100, way cheaper than human life. Fly it in there and look. See how big the cave-in was. We fly them on surface. You can measure the volume of a rock pile with a drone, fly over top of it. Flies over, says 641 tons, and the engineer goes, sweet, 641 tons, got it, exact number. Whereas the old way was you walk out there and go, looks like about 600 tons to me. Drone gets you down, specific. Mine engineer, you're planning what's gonna happen from day to day. You're troubleshooting all the problems. One of my good friends is a mine engineer, works for Vulcan Aggregate Materials. He was in the city of Chicago. There's downtown Chicago has a gravel mining operation. Why, I don't know. They ran out of real estate and they needed to go under the highway, a 6-lane highway. His job was to figure out how to go under the highway without tearing it up. They did. They mined under the highway. When they were doing it, they hit water. They didn't know the water was there till the mine started flooding. He was in ogre panic mode because it was Saturday afternoon and the mine's got 5,000 gallons of water a minute coming in under the highway. Can't get a pump fast enough. First pump he can get's Monday morning. Monday morning, you ain't gonna have a mine. It's gonna be full of water. So he sits down, crunches some numbers, turns around and goes, send the trucks to Home Depot and buy those shop vacs. They went and bought a bunch of shop vacs, hundreds of them, brought them in, started sucking water up with shop vacs to move it out. Save the mine. Engineers, always thinking, solving the problems, making it happen. So, where you want to work? Because all of those colored boxes are metal mining operations in the world. Australia, US, South America. I've been there. South Africa. A lot of metal mining in South Africa. It's a leading industry in South Africa. Japan, not so much metal mining in Japan. Afghanistan, probably some metal, great place to go mine and make a shop. Libya's kind of got a desert on top of it. Nobody's really doing anything there. There's a lot of sand, but it's quite dry. The rest of the world, pretty much everywhere you want to go. One of my good friends moved to Australia recently. He was a geologist, my geologist. His wife is in environmental. She's now the environmental manager for Peabody Coal. She makes enough money in Australia that he doesn't have to work. He just wanders around, picks up rocks, and makes pictures. Brags about how great his life is. There's lots of career pathways in mining, mineral process. So, how would I go about finding a job? The first thing to do is go Google mining companies. When you find mining companies, go to their webpage and look for jobs. Join our talent community for Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is the largest mining company in the world. Right next to BHP Billiton. These guys, probably 2,500 different mines scattered across the world. South Africa, United States, you name it. Let's just look at their board and see what they got. Got an internship in DC, stakeholder management. Here's one in Salta, Argentina. It's a health and safety engineer, or Técnico de Servicios Respuesta Emergencia. That's where Spanish come in handy. You can go to work and be a safety guy. Warehouse supervisor, Northern Territory, Australia. Australia. Here's one right out of high school. Warehouse supervisor. You can literally go and manage a warehouse in the Northern Territory of Australia. Supply chain procurement. Or maybe you took French and you want to be the operateur tres maintenance mechanic, or the asset management in mechanics in Saint-Jean-Marin, Rhône-Alpes, France. Awesome. You can totally go be a maintenance planner in France. Does it pay well? Tell me. I found this image that I told Connor the story. I seen a Bentley Arnage in Salt Lake City, Utah. Had the same license plate, although he wasn't from North Dakota, he was from Utah, I think. Coal pays the bills. So these are just some fun pictures. It's a Caterpillar 797 haul truck. It's 2,500 tons of material on that truck. Has a ladder way to get up to the cab to access it. Tires are 13 feet tall. There's a sweet Chevy Blazer next to it. Well, we got a thumping system too. Here's a continuous miner in Germany. Look at the cutting teeth on it. That wheel spins at a high rate of speed, throws all the material on a conveyor belt, goes back. There's a man inspecting the cutting teeth. Here's a fleet of drills in New Mexico. Here's a drill drilling out a shot at Bingham Canyon. They'll drill on this for months. Drill these holes, maybe 1,000 feet deep, and load every one of them with explosives. And then they set it off. And they cave the entire bluff in. Bingham Canyon makes 500 million tons of copper ore a year. They also have a mining cutoff of 0.5% copper. 0.5% copper in that rock, so that means 99.5% of it is not ore, it's just rock. Yeah. South Africa, it's an iron mine, Incision. See them little dots? They're Caterpillar haul trucks. That's a 2,500 ton haul truck. I went to Sission. This is not Sission actually. Sission was 36-mile long pit. It was a mile and a half deep and 13 miles wide. It was a big hole in the ground. And they moved a lot of iron. BHP Billiton was moving, I think, 13,000 tons a day of iron ore out. Continuous miner in Germany. There's that cutting wheel. There's the Caterpillar haul trucks lined up underneath it to be loaded. Look at the size of the mine. Coal. Here's a shot. This is Bingham Canyon, again, in Salt Lake City. The holes are drilled, and there they go. Boom, 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 boom. Look, you can see every row of holes go off. Boom, 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 boom. And there's 50,000 tons of rock ready to be hauled off and sent to process.
How long do you think they have to wait for that to settle?
For the settle, in those shots, they usually give it 12 hours and then they'll go in and start hauling. So, mining has all kinds of career opportunities. Connor, Ray, come here. Grab some of these. Have some of these. There you go. Go back to you now. Yes.
I have a uncle that lives in Wyoming, and he works on this stuff.
Yep.
And my grandfather's friend, have you heard about it, how he got like stuck in
I'm well aware. Yes. Injuries do happen. You got enough?
Every year, the day that happens, they go to somewhere.
So does anybody have any questions? The thing in the box is a calculator, another form. Yes, ma'am.
How much damage does the explosions do?
Explosives can cause massive amounts of damage, but in the end, it'll all be reclaimed and it'll be turned back into nature. Yes, ma'am.
How much do those trucks cost?
Those trucks, about $1.5 million a pop.
Are they street legal?
No.
I'm not buying one.
Because of which reason? The street legal or the $1.5 million fees?
Street legal.
Oh,
I wanted to drive them.
So those trucks, when I went to the iron mine in South Africa, that ramp going up the hill, the rock weighs so much that they have a power line threaded above it, and when the truck goes up the hill, it throws an antenna up, touches the power line, and engages electric motors to help pull the truck out of the pit. Those trucks also have right of way. In other words, if a truck is coming, you pull over and stop and you let it go by, because if it runs you over, you'll be a flat little pancake.
There's no ABC.
No ABC, it's just a regular category. Any other questions?
Thank you for the sound.
You're welcome. Yes.
How heavy is the bomb?
How heavy is the bomb? So most explosives aren't measured by weight, but a typical borehole like one of those would probably take 1,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. Ammonium nitrate's considered a high explosive. It won't blow up by itself. You can run it over and light it on fire and do all kinds of neat stuff. It needs a primer explosion to set it off, like a stick of dynamite. So you run a stick of dynamite down a hole, then you fill it up with ammonium nitrate, dynamite goes off, and ammonium nitrate then goes off and makes the big explosion. Yes?
So that drilling thing, like massive drilling thing,
Continuous
what
mine?
happens if a guy is like, he's specking and it like, it started,
He would die.
The drill or those blade?
Is that actually what I
The saw?
Probably.
The giant chainsaw?
Oh, that's bad.
Most rules are in place for a reason.
Well, that's
All right. Does anybody have an idea of a career path that they found interesting there? Diesel mechanic. There you go. Anybody else? No lawyers in this group.
Didn't the lesson do, that's my uncle, is he like a teacher mechanic or? Okay.
So, one of the things up there on the list for a 4-year degree is an Indigenous Contact Specialist. Does anybody know what an Indigenous Contact Specialist is? What, Connor?
Maybe identifying minerals.
No, that's geologist. Indigenous, what does indigenous mean? Indigenous relations. So indigenous peoples are peoples that live in a place, they're the original peoples. Native Americans were the indigenous peoples of the United States. If a mining company wants to mine on indigenous people's property, you have to send someone to talk to them. You just can't go mine under the cover of darkness and run away when the sun comes up. You're gonna go talk to them, and you're gonna make a deal. Indigenous contacts happen all over. Australia is big time for indigenous. Most of the ground's Aboriginal ground. And so mining companies will send people in to talk to the local tribes, talk to people and say, what do you want? What do you need from us? Do you want money? Do you want water? I went to a fluorite mine in South Africa, and it was in Swahili territory. And the Swahilis had a deal where most of the water they pumped out of the mine went to the village, and they could use the water because, South Africa is like Arizona, it's pretty much desert. And so they were using the water that was coming out of the mines. That's all they wanted. They didn't care about the cost of the mineral or how much. Doe Run pays royalties to the federal government. We don't have indigenous peoples' territories in Missouri, but we mine on U.S. forest every day. And we pay the federal government about $20,000 a month in royalties. They get 7% of the value of what we mine. So you have to have people to make those deals, and they're usually lawyers or people that are in political science careers. And those have to be good, especially in the western United States, Australia, South America. So nobody's got any other questions? Yes.
How much do you get paid?
I get paid enough to make a living. Yes, ma'am.
What's your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job? So my job revolves around finding ore. Finding ore is interesting because in some cases it can be relatively easy, in other cases it can be incredibly, ridiculously hard. We mine 1,000 feet underground. We have what's called a blind deposit. You can't walk around on surface until you've got mineral 1,000 feet beneath you here. Therefore, you have to use other methods. The primary method we use is we drill holes. You drill a hole in the ground. If it doesn't hit ore, well, there's no ore there, duh. But it also tells you things. It tells you if the rock is right. It tells you if the geology is right. Do you have the structures? Do you have faulting? What do you have in place? And it gives you all kinds of signs. And with enough of that information, you can build maps and start to put together where there's more likely ore or where there isn't. We also use seismic. Who knows what seismic is? Oh, come on. Anybody ever seen the first Jurassic Park? In the very opening scene of the first Jurassic Park, they're using seismic to find the T-Rex skull. Do you remember what they did?
No.
They push a little dolly with a 12-gauge shotgun on it. And the shotgun's aimed into the ground. And they shoot it off. And the sound goes into the ground. And they have seismophones set up. And when the sound comes back, they very quickly, usually takes months to process the data, but in Jurassic Park they're very quick. They look at it and they can determine where it is, what it is, and how deep it is. We use seismic. I had a group of contractors come out last August, and they ran seismic lines across southeast Missouri. I ran 6 miles of seismic lines. They took seismic readings, and we could see faults, fractures, and structures all the way down to about 4,000 feet in depth. And that told me that this was a test, because I already knew there was ore there. I already drilled a hole in it. But the ore was on the structure right where it was supposed to be. It worked. We can use this to find stuff underground. Another thing you can use is magnetometrics. You can pump electricity into the ground, and based on the magnetic readings that come back, you can tell what metals and things are beneath. We have some of that going into play this year. Yes,
How do you let the bombs off if they're in the ground?
so a hole is drilled. A hole is drilled. A primer explosive is put all the way in the back of the hole, usually with a long stick. Or if it's a straight down hole, you just drop it. Goes down. Primary explosive goes down to the bottom of the hole. There's a cord that comes up called a det cord. Now secondary explosive, high explosive, is filled, the rest of the hole's filled up completely, high explosive. Once you got all your holes filled, you got all these little wicks sticking out. Tie them all together in one wick. And then you'll put an igniter on it. And when the time comes, either with electricity or by hand, you're gonna set off that igniter. And every one of those holes is gonna go boom, 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 just like we seen in the drone. That explosion we were in that video, that was timed from left to right. The explosion started on your left, and they went across the screen, boom, 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 you could see them going off, creating a landslide. So, you pump explosives in, or you drop them in, whichever way is easiest. I got a buddy that's an explosives tech engineer, and he worked for a while in mining, and he actually went into, actually went into demolitions, where you knock down big buildings. And yeah, that's a lucrative job, as well, and you can blow up buildings. And then drop them right in their footprint. So, think about it, you're in a big city, get skyscrapers all around you, and there's one in the middle needs to come out. You've got people that can go in, figure out a plan, lay explosives, and drop that building right in its footprint, and not throw a rock everywhere and make a mess. Yes?
What if they use a firework instead of dynamite?
Firework probably don't have enough punch. There's actually a whole line of mathematics, advanced math, that goes in behind blasting engineering. Blasting actually works because of hit. You ever heard tannerite?
Yeah.
What sets off tannerite? Can you, if I throw it at the ground, will it go off? If I step on it, will it go off? No, it won't. It's not getting hit hard enough. That bullet is hitting that tannerite hard enough that it sets it off. That's how all explosives work. It just has to be hit hard enough to start that chemical reaction and set it off. Even like high explosive, ammonium nitrate, like we use for high explosives, it's fertilizer is all it is. Diesel oil soaked fertilizer. And it's white granular stuff. And it will, you can light it on fire and it'll burn, but it'll blow up. You run it over, you throw it at the wall, you do all kinds of things, it won't blow up. But if you hit it hard enough, it'll go. So by putting a primary in there, like take a TNT, that explosion is enough bang that it sets it off and it'll go off. That's how most high explosives work. There's a whole line of explosives engineering. Rolla has a great explosives engineering program if you're into explosives. I've known a lot of guys that have gone through it. They've even got an experimental mine where they set off rounds underground for practice, just to see how it all works. What you build there, man? Ingenious. Except it doesn't work.
The design wasn't to drown yourself?
Back to the drawing board.
They found out a way that didn't work. There you go.
You might be an engineer.
I want to be.
Well, yeah, I want to be an engineer or a decent.
Engineering's cool because you can specialize in something, or if you want to be real crazy and hardcore, you be a mine engineer because then you got to know a little bit about everything. You got to be a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, understand how rocks work, and oh yeah, everything's going to break tomorrow. Rolla also has an excellent engineering program.
Any
Like
other
sixth grade's
questions?
got them beat.
Yeah?
They're pretty quiet.
Any other questions, really?
Yes, sir.
You know my dad?
I do know your dad.
Yeah.
Do you know my dad?
I do know your dad.
No.
Any questions pertaining to Doe Run outside of genealogy?
That's the main fundamental we live off of. What?
You guys lose power a lot.
Yep, it's fire all the time.
Yeah, my mom was freaking out because they lost power and couldn't get a hold of my parents.
We've actually got two power feeds. We got one that comes from the south, Black River, and one that comes from the north, Hemmann. And it seems like neither one of them can work at the same time. It's amazing.
No other questions?
All right, I'll ask a trivia question. What was one of the countries that doesn't have any active metal mining? He said it. Don't eat it. Wash your
Should have been disqualified for not raising his hand, Elijah.
Outs.